Good evening.
Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the medium frequency. Tonight we have a very, very special guest. Would you like to introduce our
I
guest?
would love to. We are deeply honored to have with us tonight Lady Aradia Arcanum, the matriarch and founder of House Dracarys Dei, an educator, a leader, an elder in the Nightkind community. We are so excited to have you with us tonight.
Hi.
Hi. I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Thank you so much for being willing to join us this evening. We have a bunch of questions for you. Do you want to start?
Oh, sure. Now, you hail from the New York, New Jersey area, is that correct?
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about the scene up there? What's it like?
Well, the scene, that's a big question. The
Mhm.
scene is, it is alive. It is thriving. We have just like, um, it depends on what part of question you would like me to really focus on. But the scene in New Jersey and New York, I'm going to tell you that the part of it that I love is that it's a community or a community, an umbrella of a community of houses, bloodlines, um, courts, havens, and it's a place where I can express my primal, as they say. So
Mm.
um, that is how I view the scene up in New Jersey and New York and everywhere, actually, any of the vampire um, communities.
Mm, wonderful. Let's see. Now, you mentioned the diversity in the area. I've always found that to be such a strength when folks with different backgrounds, practices, identities find common ground and build something together. I am pretty confident that you share that perspective based on my familiarity with your work. Specifically, a number of guests that we've had on recently have pointed out that there is a huge need for reliable educational resources in the community for us to understand each other's differences and common ground, just to build basic skills. Now, that is a need that you personally are working really hard to address. Could you tell us a little bit about the practical magic school that you run?
I can. And, before Practical Magic School, an endeavor of mine is, I think about where I came from. I think about what I wanted to learn when I came into this community. And I think about how I wanted to learn it. And so I take all of that and, share my experience. And I'm not saying that I am the authority in any of it, but I like to help, like point you in the right direction, right? Anybody that I come across that does come into Practical Magic School or any platform of mine, I like to help. I share my gnosis, and then I say to them, do your research and follow what it is that you feel you are connected with, and I just kind of help guide them. I don't think anyone as a leader, especially somebody that came up in a Christian household, I was made to do things, right? So my goal is to help guide others, right? Not tell them this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, golly, I know when I first entered the community, I had to learn every lesson the hard way. I really was so grateful when I finally found some sources of reliable information, folks who pointed to real references instead of just their sort of pulled out of the air ideas. I really respect and appreciate that.
Yeah, because I think there's something, right? There's something in you experiencing, those things for yourself, because you can tell someone, you can even show them in a book, the step by step, right? You can show them in the instructions, but the lived experience is the thing that really brings it to life, and the thing that really helps you embrace like your awakening.
Mm, right. Yep. You put the practical in practical magic.
There you go.
Could you tell us about the grimoire current? What inspired it, and why is it important to highlight other voices in the community from your perspective?
Well, I started initially, it was just a simple newsletter, right? But then I saw how it can help um, bring voices that might not have a platform out into the open, because there are so many stories out there to be told, and not everyone has the platform or space to share that. And some people don't even think that their stories are important. So, um, giving them this space to say, hey, I'd like to hear your story, share your story, tell us about your path. And there are so many different unique paths. So I thought, hey, this is a good platform to do that on the Grimoire Current. And yeah, that's how it started as a newsletter, but it just kind of bloomed into something else. And yeah, it's currently under construction right now to kind of figure out how I'm going to continue to share it. But 100% it was created to give voices to the unseen spaces. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, lunar magic plays a big role in your practice. What draws you to working with the moon, and what can night kind gain from those cycles?
Mm.
Well, I am someone that even before I came into the scene, right? I practiced the occult and was deep into my spiritual practices. So naturally, lunar cycles was something that was a part of that. And I work a lot with astrology. And when you look at the moon in astrology, the moon is the hidden things in the subconscious. And in this community, this night kind community, right? A lot of our primal is hidden in the subconscious places.
Mm-hmm.
So we during the moon, right? This allows us to connect with those places, right? And this is why you often hear the stories of the wolf howling at the moon, and the night creatures, right? Because this is the time where you can really be primal. So that's how I tie, especially like, well, the dark moon and the full moon, but just the moon in general, right? It's about, I feel that connection to the our primal is a big part of working with the moon.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, the dark moon cycle is very important to my personal practice. It's the sort of hollowing out of the moon really reflects and helps to ground me in the keeping up with the cyclic process of self-care. As a vampire and as someone who works with a lot of energy, it's so
Yeah,
important to not only celebrate when we take it in and we're full, but cleansing out all of that stuff before it becomes stagnant. So
absolutely.
yeah, I really appreciate your inclusion of that reflecting that cyclic practice in your work throughout.
Yeah, I
Um,
also want to point out too. I found that because in the beginning it was just like the new moon and the full moon, right, or the dark
mhm.
moon. But I found there is certain behaviors and things that happen the in between, right? In
Absolutely.
the waxing and waning, right? The whole cycle, I think should be acknowledged because, right, when we're waning, that means this energy is not so potent, right? It's allowing us, right? It's a couple of things that happens. It's allowing us the space, as you said, to banish things, to cleanse things, to be aware of things, right? Because the light isn't so present, right? So
Right.
I think acknowledging the in between, like the cycle is important also.
Absolutely. Yeah. As night kind in particular, I know sometimes it can be easy to focus on the darkness, which is a huge important part of the process, of
Absolutely.
course. But we can become imbalanced if we forget to
Yeah.
to notice the transitional phases that allow us to bask in the preciousness of the darkness. It has to be
Absolutely.
outlined. All right. Now, I wanted to ask you, when I think of members of the Nightkind community who are um, uh, paragons of shapeshifting and of the intersection of vampire and otherkin. You're such a wealth of knowledge on that, and you've been so generous with that wisdom in other forums that I've seen. I would love to hear more. Here, let me see. Lost my place. Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about how Fae and vampire identities intersect for you specifically?
Well, that's a bit of a story.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, right, when I came upon the scene, the first thing that naturally, well, not naturally, right, but that is the first thing that I saw. So it was the vampire, and that is something that I have always been drawn to. And so when I came through that way and then learning more about the scene, it was still the vampire for me, but there still was like, something missing. It was like it's the, I feel it, but it's calling to me, but there's something else. And then I started doing my research and learning about the other, like other kin, right? So another, I was always drawn to the Fae, right? And because of the contradiction, I guess is the word, that comes up with that in the community, I never really was able to put the two together in the beginning. So I always just stuck with I'm a witch, and, and that's what I am. But later, because when you have this drive, when there's something in you wanting to come out, right, wanting to be expressed, it draws you. You just like you keep hunting, if you will. You
Mhm.
keep hunting. So that's what I did. And it was my knowledge, as I mentioned before all of this, I was first foremost an occultist. So I drew back on that versus drawing on what it's being taught within the community. I reached out further into like my knowledge of the esoteric practices and the occult shamanistic practices. So I ran across this fae that is vampiric in nature, and boom, like the light bulb went on, and it was like I am home. I'm getting chills just thinking about that. Reliving that moment of realization. And then I understood why both those worlds felt a part of me, but I couldn't quite, you know, I didn't have a name for it. So after learning that, I began to, that was an awakening. I began to embrace that part of myself in that way. So now those two worlds are not separate to me. It is one, it's not two different entities, it's one. So that's how I came to be, who I am, and that is how I had my awakening within this community.
Can I ask how you were able to take the two and combine it into one fluid flow for yourself a little bit?
Yeah, after it, I mean, the knowledge and the history of like the Leanne and She right? That for me, I was doing all of that. I feed on inspiration. I love giving inspiration, and that's how I feed. So I get excited about it, and so it was natural because of the archetype itself. There was nothing I had to fit together, right? The archetype itself gave me everything. It gave me the glamour. It gave me um how and why I love to feed the way I do. It gave me all of that. So it was nothing that I really had to tie in together.
Fascinating. So when
Yeah.
the right identity was found, everything just fell into place. I love
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. I had a somewhat similar experience, maybe from a slightly different angle. When I found my way to the vampire community, I started doing a lot of more intentional, conscious energy work rather than just the instinctual feeding. And when I started to do more active energy work and viewing myself, getting a good vantage on what I looked like in my energetic form, I noticed I had wings and horns and a very different etheric body than I would have expected. I identify as a vampire, but I learned a lot about my nature and the skills that were available to me by learning from the otherkin alter human community. They, of course, had a lot more experience with how to deal with other limbs and things in a phantom sense and navigating that realm. It's an amazing illustration, I think, of the importance of having diversity celebrated and accessible within the Nightkind community. Not just because we have so much to learn from each other, but some of us are each other.
Right.
Mhm. So when it comes to shapeshifting, it can often be misunderstood. What does it mean for you in your practice, if you would be open to sharing?
Sure. I pull in it's a more shamanistic, um I always screw the word up, Etherean, not I can't I always screw the word up, but the Etherean philosophy, right?
Mm.
It kind of pulls all that in, the animism of it all. So it's more about, which is why, like my bloodline, we're first and foremost shapeshifters, right? So it is approaching it because sometimes, you know, the Therian comes out, right? So um, we embrace it that way, um, not necessarily identifying as that thing, but more tapping into its archetype, right? Tapping into it because sometimes, right, there's a different need that you're wanting, and sometimes the primal wants to express itself in that way, at least when you're a shapeshifter. So there are like several different aspects of my primal that presents itself in shapeshifting. Um, so I hope I'm explaining myself. I find myself not really being able to explain this part without it sounding crazy, but so it's kind of I inter those worlds intersect, right? Shamanism, animism, Therianism, is that a word? I'm trying to say that word without saying the other word that I can't say. But yeah, those worlds intersect for me when it comes to shape shifting.
I think you're far from crazy. I think you're inspirational. There are so many
Oh,
people, otherkin, vampires, other energies out there that need a little more clarity on this. So you sharing your experiences will hopefully give inspiration to some of those who are really looking for answers. So yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
you know what? And I found, because it took me a while to get here, but I found in other people's story, I realized that there's confusion sometimes because they are a part of shape shifting, right? Because it's not that you may, like, you have this main identity, right? This thing that you identify as. But
Mhm.
then I feel like there are other forms of the natural primal self that sometimes wants to present itself, and there's different ways that it comes out, right? So I think um, a lot of us have shape shifting tendencies, but we don't really acknowledge it because we focus on that main identity, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Absolutely. Let's see. We would love to hear a little bit about the history and the philosophy of your house, House Dracarys. Am I pronouncing that right?
House Dracarys, right?
Dracarys.
So a bit of right. So in the beginning, right? I feel like it's a long story come right. So back when, I will tell you, and a lot of people that knew me around that time in the community can probably say the same thing. I was serious about being a part of the community. However, I didn't see myself as having my own bloodline. I wasn't even thinking about that in the beginning. And when it happened, I was like, okay. And they were like, okay, give yourself a name. And at that time, you know, things about me in my life, I do things sometimes without thinking and then find out, okay, now it was meant to be, right?
Mm.
So at the time, I was very much into Game of Thrones and very much into dragons. So Dracarys stood out to me because it was in Valerian, right? It was dragon
Mm.
fire, and I wanted to
Mm.
bring a bit more gnosis into that. So day means God. So it is dragon fire of the gods.
Mm.
So what has happened was, right, it has grew into the philosophy of, it's this flame, internal flame, that is almost like a kundalini, right? So it's
Mhm.
internal flame that is awakened, and it expresses itself through the primal aspect. So it's not that like we're a dragon house. It is the flame of the dragon,
Mm.
and that expresses itself through shape shifting. So
Right.
initially, it started out, because when it started out, it was kind of like I was telling you. It started out, it was just a witch house, because I didn't have the awakening when the bloodline initially started.
Mm.
So through years of really trying to embrace what it meant, this is what it is today. So it is embracing that internal flame and learning how to access it and expressing it through whatever means of your primal is needing to be expressed. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, a part of the work that you do with your house is charitable. I know, for example, you do an annual food drive. I would love to hear a little bit more about how community outreach relates to your house purpose and philosophy, as well as any other charitable work that you want to let us know or promote. We can send some money
Yeah.
there.
Well, we we haven't done much like that, but we plan on continuing to do that because I find in the things that I do a lot of things behind the scenes, right? Where I'll put myself out there to assist people with questions and things like that.
Mhm.
So I consider that part of, you know, a charitable work, like doing my. I work with the planets, right? And I work with Venus a lot. So there is this thing where you remedy certain aspects of yourself through planetary work.
Mhm.
And with working with Venus, right, to make my Venus self strong, I do remedies that applies to Venus, and that would be to like help others and do like charitable works. So I make myself available for those that are looking for help, right? And looking for, because a lot of times people make themselves really, you know, not accessible. They're like, I am this. So in order to reach me, you have to climb this high mountain. So, we, as Dracarys Day, we plan on continuing to do the food drives, but we also, I my bloodline, um, the goal is for us to make ourselves available for those that need help and guidance. However, we can bring that and give that. That is the goal.
I love that. A huge part of my practice involves symmetry. I believe that if we expect any higher powers, even if it's our own future selves, to deign to offer us any sort of wisdom or power, we're not going to be attracting the energy of charitable higher forces unless we are charitable ourselves. To the
Absolutely.
degree that we embody the energy of that sort of communion and humility, we invite it into our lives, in my
Mm.
experience at least. So I really appreciate folks who are growing through their own humility and charity.
Yeah. Thanks.
Out of curiosity, just because this comes to mind, one aspect that I think that a lot of people may not focus on is that even within the within the vampire community and fae communities and other communities, there are different ways that we use forms of healing as well. What are some of those aspects that maybe people may not be aware of that you can share as to how those parts of you have helped you to heal maybe aspects of yourself or helped others to heal themselves by guidance?
Mhm.
Um, there's many ways. Um, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that has helped me is I was drawn to learning different energy practices, like working, with Reiki, like many of us have, and also working with tuning forks. I've taken a course to learn how to heal via tuning forks and working with singing bowls. So I feel like there's this vibrational like essence to healing because things get stuck, especially when we refer to like our primal selves, right? As we are right in this community. And even just like I would have to do the practices of when I understood how different sounds when chanted releases certain energy blocks. So I would just sit and chant right, because it's connected to the heart. And I found it sounds simple, but we can sit and we know the thing that we may need to be healed from, and logically we have, like, maybe we have this guide of this is the next step you do in your healing process. But I feel like there's something that needs to shake up the ground inside of you, and it is that energy that's coiled up inside of you, right? And so I feel like energy work is, for me, the right up there at the top of the list that has assisted me with my healing journey and helped me embrace, like the somatic practices that they have. I know that's like a new agey thing right now, but moving the body and shaking up those blocks energetically can help you heal for sure.
Absolutely.
I would say so. I think that certain chords can be struck to kind of like just gently guide those pieces that need to formulate in different directions to help with growth. So the fact that you do that kind of work is incredible, and will hopefully help others to see that that's doable even within the community as well.
Yeah, I'm always pushing. I'm like, it's under the guise of Reiki, but I'm always pushing, learn Reiki, because all energy work, right, comes from this one place, right? And they just teach it a bit differently. And Reiki is something that's readily accessible. And when I learned Reiki, it just helped me. Like, I don't really practice Reiki right now. I do it in my own way, but it has, over the years, it has shown me another form of how to work with energy. And so it crosses over into the other ways that I work with energy, and even how, I connect with energy outside of myself. So I'm always pushing, like, go do Reiki.
On the other side of this spectrum of things, what are some common, and we ask this a lot, what are some common misconceptions that perhaps people that are not in the community or is not connected to a specific group of people may have, that perhaps, how do I word this? How do I word this? What are some common misconceptions that perhaps some of them have that you'd like maybe people to have a clearer understanding of? That's what I was looking for.
I can tell you one, because when I first came in, I thought what I was looking at, or what was happening, was something spiritual, right? And I guess that's just me, because I'm always looking for, like, those spiritual things. But being in the community and having a spiritual practice are two different things. When I first came in, and I don't know if that's something that everybody's thinking, but I know, like, if you're coming from, like, the witchy community or something like that, I was like, well, I thought it was something spiritual. It can be 100%, right? It can be, right? You connect the two, but you can, I have this problem till today. I'm like, well, you guys need a spiritual life. So I would tell someone not to expect that. I don't know if that's something that they would, or if that was just me. But also, the flip side of that also is, it can be spiritual, right? Also, the embracing your primal is, I always refer back to shamanistic practices and how they connected to source and nature. So 100%, if that is what you're looking for, it can be that as well. And it's not, I know a lot of people look at the parties and they look at, they're drawn in by all of the beauty of the night, right? But there is a spiritual side to it, right? You just have to look, right?
Absolutely. I think that's so wise. A lot of us, and I think you may be able to relate to this, grow up in households where spiritual exploration outside of a very rigid path is strongly discouraged, I'll say. So, for example, I grew up very Southern Baptist, and anything that wasn't that specific kind of Christian was Satanism, according to my
Yep.
parents. And so I think a lot of folks in the community, once they find the community, have sort of a sour taste in their mouth associated with anything religious or spiritual, can almost trigger us, and will prefer to enter into those exact same states of mind without that vocabulary, which can make it a little harder once we're ready to, I think, further our practice. If the only time we ever feel carried away by spirit is on the dance floor, I mean, that's still an absolutely valid spiritual experience. Um, so I really liked what you said there, and I know that in my own practice, I feel more connected to spirit walking in the park. Literally hugging a tree is very grounding. Um, Sometimes we have a tendency to overthink it. I think, we want to
Yes.
cast an elaborate circle and have 12 robed figures with us. And that works too, if you can manage it.
Yeah, I say that all the time, right? That you can find, like, I share simple ways to
Mm,
bring magic into your life, right? You can wake up and have your cup of coffee and stir some magic into your coffee and
Mhm.
drink it, right? So it's magic and everything, and it doesn't have to be, you kind of have to like shift your perspective on the terminology, right, that was given to you, right? And kind of reframe it and make it like your own, because you're still searching for something. So just have to kind of make it your own, right?
mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you are one of the people I think of first when I think of what's the gender neutral term I'm looking for? You guide and become a parental figure in the
Mhm.
community. You find folks that are really just starting off, and you create a safe environment for them to learn and grow and find their unique place in the community. So I would be really interested to hear what vision you have, if any, for future generations on a large scale of the Nightkind community. What would you like for the future to look like for us?
Well, bouncing right off what we were just talking about is you know don't be afraid of spirituality,
Mhm.
based on maybe how you were, what you came out of, right? There's a whole world out there of different forms of spirituality. And even if it's that you learn the philosophies of it so that you can have hope. I always say this, and I know it sounds really corny, but I've been through some things where Christianity had its issues, right? And
Mhm.
but it was more the people that was behind it. So there was always something spiritual in my life, and I had hope. So I feel like if there is some form of something you can look to, right? And my way is saying spirituality, but whatever that looks like for you, right? Something outside, if it's astrology, if you're looking to the planets and it gives you hope, right? My thing is to just I'm hoping that we have in the community more spirituality, and again, whatever that means, right? That's my hope for everyone, as cheesy as it sounds.
Yeah,
It's not cheesy at all.
yeah, follow your hope. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a feeling that's a sign that you are moving in the right direction. I love that.
Hmm.
yeah.
Mhm.
I like that you include the metaphysical aspects of astrology alongside some of the work that you do with Nightkind, because I don't know, like I've always felt that the moon cycles, the different phases affect us in different ways. And I always kind of wondered how that works with Nightkind.
Mm.
And I didn't know that anybody actually kind of looked at things from that perspective. Have you thought about writing a book on it?
So I've had that question asked before, but I have, yes, I have, not just on that, but on some experiences. But we'll see how that goes.
Keep us posted. Yeah. Yeah, when you're ready to promote that book, let us know. We would love to have you on again.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do you have any advice for Nightkinds that are currently listening out there?
Again, cheesy. Follow your heart, because, and the other thing with that, right, is I say follow your heart with understanding that, because that is how I was able to have my awakening. I followed my heart. I didn't just take in what was being told to me. I didn't just take in, like, oh, this is what everyone is reading here. I knew there was something more. So listen to your heart. In order for you to follow it, really listen to your heart. Your heart that's in your stomach, the heart that's in the brain, right? Your intuition. Listen to it. And it's because it's telling you, it's pulling you for a reason, right? We evolve, and sometimes evolution looks like you needing to go beyond what is being taught to you in that moment. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you've mentioned gnosis a couple times, so that makes perfect sense to me. The source of the wisdom that you're seeking is within you. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
When you mention awakening, there are a lot of viewers that we have that may not understand what that term means. Would you be comfortable sharing a little bit about what that translates to for you?
Sure. I There's different ways you can look at that, right? Because I feel that even when you look at astrology, I'm sorry, I'm an astrologer, so I'll probably refer to astrology a lot. But there are different points of initiation in our lives that we awaken to. So there are different types of awakenings. Um, and this one that I am referring to is an awakening to my primal self. This is how I see it, right? Because we go through our Saturn returns, and that's a point of initiation, right? We go through, when you get older, like I am, you go through your Chiron return. That's another point of this awakening. But I'm referring to awakening to something, the flame that's inside,
Mm.
right? And when that happens, there's this, literally, your eyes are open and you begin to have this clarity come through about this understanding that, oh, I now I like, you have like this role play that happens, right? Like this not role play, this film that's happening in your head, and you all this hindsight, you're like, oh. So it's once that connection, that igniting flame happens, that awakening, you know it by those next actions that happen, right? The clarity that begins to come through.
Mhm.
So that's what awakening for this looks like for me.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think that's so important for people to be able to understand a little bit of the difference.
Yeah.
Right.
And each experience, of course, is unique and different to the individual.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Well, I think, let's see, I want to remind everyone of, gosh, you have several really awesome and meaningful projects going on, and I want to make sure folks know where to find them. Your Grimoire Current that you mentioned, how would folks go about getting their hands on a copy of that?
Well, like I said, it's currently going through some changes, but in order for you to be in the know when things happen, there you can get on the newsletter list, and you could find that through both my. I have two websites because I'm extra. That's just me. So I have this duality about myself, but so I have a website that is under Aradia Arcanum, and then I have a website that expresses my Venusian stuff, which is called the
Mhm.
VenusianWays.com. So both those places have they house everything that I do. So in order to stay in the know, you could just sign up to the newsletter.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And where would folks find the Practical Magic School?
Well, I have it on the website as well, Radio Arcanum. But if you go to the school SKOOL website or site, just search Practical Magic School, and you'll find me there.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Was there anything else that you wanted to promote, at least until that book comes out?
Well, I have a couple of things kind of in the works. I started putting out my art, so I'm getting back into my art. I would like to. I don't have it in front of me, but I did a picture, art of Dredrenin. So you know what? If we have a second, I have it right here. I'm going to show you. I did a image of Dredrenin. But you can find that's one of the things that I'm doing. I'm selling, getting back into art. So I'm doing art prints. And oh my goodness, sorry. I should have been ready for this because that was something I did want to share. Um, Here he is. Okay. And he came, I had a astral experience with him, but this is Dredrenin
Oh,
here.
Oh, wow.
that's
Yeah.
gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Amazing.
So yeah, so I'm doing my art, and then my next project that I have not, announced yet, I will be soon, is I'm doing snail mail, but it will be witchy mail, and so all these witchy things can come into your mail. So I will be putting that out there. That's just a little bit of information on that, but I always got something I'm doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's always exciting to get mail. It's very really special.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Please let us know
Yeah.
when you
Yeah,
start that because we would love to advertise that for you.
sure,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Okay, did you have any other questions?
Oh my goodness.
Sure, on the spot.
Yeah. You've answered most of my questions that I have for this evening, but I'm sure that I'm going to have like a million more that I'm going to have to see if I can message you later. Oh, there's a good one. If people want to get a hold of you to ask maybe more about your experiences, what's the best way for them to do that?
Any of my platforms, but they can email me via magic, MAGICK, at how do I have so many. I want to make sure I give them the right one, but Yes, magic at thevenusianways.com. Or if they don't, I have aradia.arcanum at gmail.com. I, I answer too.
Excellent. Nice.
I'm excited to see your websites. I didn't even know you had them. So now I'm going to have to look them up.
Yes.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Check them out.
They're awesome. Just check it out.
Awesome.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being here. Oh my gosh, I feel enriched, inspired, and
Aw.
yes,
Thank you
thank
for
you
having
so
me on
much.
here. Yeah, I enjoyed this
Anytime.
conversation.
Same.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Gwen, we're going to go ahead and bring you on up, hon.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Welcome
It takes
back.
me a second, and I had turned my light out because it's hot. Hold on, I'll do the good thing. There you go. That's better. There we go. You can see.
There we go.
Good show, guys. I learned some stuff. I am very interested, and I tell you, so many of you guys I've met. It's just amazing, and I need to get on some websites and look. And this practical magic thing, I'm like, what now? I was like, what? Okay, yeah. So I was sitting back here going, huh? What now? I heard that word. I was like, okay, yeah. So I will be checking that out myself. You give classes? I mean, do you do them online?
Yeah, I have when you go into practical magic school, I have a 101 witchcraft that takes you from beginning to end. Bunch of videos. We have this thing now where I do Sunday gatherings, and we
nice.
do Sunday, we have our night kind church. So we do that. And yeah, just a lot of different lives that we have throughout the month. Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm gonna check it all out. I promise. So, guys, good show again. Raven, do you have your guest you want to announce for next week, or are we still waiting on you?
Yes.
Oh,
An announcer?
Yes. Madame Corvidae of House Omnia Corvus will be joining us next Monday evening.
Mm-hmm.
Very
All
excited.
All right. Well, that's great. I'll have to get that ad and everything together for you. But guys, it's been a great show. If you would like to close it out, I'm going to take myself and your guest down. If you'll hold on just a minute, they'll be with you and they can talk after the show. How about that?
Yes.
Ready?
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on our show tonight. Our next show is 9:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday night. And with that being said, have a great night, everyone.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a magical evening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.